For a decade under Kathleen Kennedy, everything has been vicious and vitriolic when it comes to Star Wars, but Daisy Ridley has stepped out, and with 2 interviews, she has stepped in it. And what is in it? Well, she's revealing to the world the Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy vision for Star Wars is coming to an end. Hello folks, welcome back to the Pro Channel. It's a joy to have you with us, and we are here to tell you the truth, not to lead you astray or tell you things that go too far out of the way. No, we live in the land of logic right here on the channel, and explaining entertainment and keeping you ahead of the culture curve is what we do. Today, we're going to NBC News, not normally a purveyor of such things, and that's why it's all the more rich that we get to do this because, well, they have to write about this. NBC News, this by Minivan Burke. And it says, actor Daisy Ridley addressed the issue of sexism from Star Wars fans, telling NBC's Today Show that she thinks it has been blown out of proportion.
Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle.
Whoa! Ridley, who plays Rey in the blockbuster franchise, appeared on the show Thursday and was asked about some online uproar from fans after filmmaker Charmin Chinoy was announced as the director of the next Star Wars movie, New Jedi Order. She says, I think my take is things get blown out of proportion, and the interactions I've ever had with people have been nothing but wonderful and supportive, Ridley said. I've only ever been embraced, and I think we're going to make a great film. Now, folks, this is the perfect answer to the question that she received. In fact, this is what you should always say, because you always want to embrace, and you always want to be embraced. As someone who is marketing a film, someone who is participating in a film whose blockbuster and box office success is necessary for your success. This has always been the way to handle the media. This has always been the way to handle the fans, and yet Star Wars has never done that, at least not in the last decade under Kathleen Kennedy. This is a complete 180 reversal in the strategy that they have. Now, of course, we know here on the channel that the backlash to Charmin Chinoy has nothing to do with her gender or her biological sex or anything else. It has to do with what she said, just like it would be if there was a man who said the sorts of things that she has said, and that is that it's finally time for a woman to shape Star Wars. That was offensive to so many who already knew that, oh wait, Marcia Lucas is the one who shaped Star Wars, and she was a woman. She's the original shaper of Star Wars all the way back from 1977. And so that was offensive to those who don't believe in memory holing those who have led the way, the pioneers, and especially the female pioneers of the genre. But here we have Daisy Ridley switching and doing the right thing. Now, how is this a condemnation of Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy? Well, it's a condemnation because it's a total reversal of what they have been doing. Everything that those two have done in the past decade has been to accentuate, to draw light to all of the divisions and divisiveness of society and market that way. It's an utterly failed concept, but that's what they've done. This is not, however, the first interview that Daisy Ridley has done in the past week, which shed a negative light on the prior strategies of Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger. And in fact, one interview she just did, actually, if it's truthful, shows that they were so off the beaten path, so illogical, that you just have to wonder what in the world was going on in Bob Iger's mind as he returned to Star Wars, as he returned to Disney, after hiatus, and within the first two weeks already had concocted a plan. We're going to show you what Daisy Ridley said, but I need the panel for this one, folks. Let's bring in LW Ghost, and let's bring in John Trent, and you are going to love the conversation here. Guys, come on in. All right, continuing on. This wasn't the first time that Chinoy used feminist talking points to discuss the film. And it goes on to talk about what happened in 2023, where she was talking about the Jedi Order. She said, I've always kicked open doors that were previously closed. I think my feeling is that there is a critical mass of women who have begun to move forward in places that were previously closed to them.
My name is... I am directing the next Star Wars film. Excited about bringing Daisy Ridley back into the Star Wars galaxy and in telling her story. I'm excited to be immersed in the Jedi Academy. And I think there is so much excitement around the new Jedi Order. I've always kicked open doors that were previously closed. And I think my feeling is that there is a critical mass of women who have begun to move forward in places that were previously closed to them. I've been a filmmaker and a storyteller for the last 20 years.
And you get the idea. Of course, she's been in documentaries. That's been what she's done. She's not herself been in documentaries. But I want to go now to CBR.com and show you this paragraph. Well, in that Miss Marvel episode. Woo. CBR.com, here's the paragraph that is key to what is going on right now. And I'm going to explain this. This requires a level of analysis, folks, that you come to this channel explicitly for. During a recent interview with Variety, Ridley praised the Oscar-winning filmmaker for her amazing story idea for Lucasfilm's next Star Wars project, which makes her return as Rey worth it. The British actor admitted that if it weren't for Obey Chinoy's story, she probably wouldn't have signed on. I'm excited to do the job, but not because Charmine is a woman, she said. Our documentaries are amazing. Her idea for the story is cool as... No spoilers! But she gave me a rundown of the entire story. If it weren't amazing, I would have been like, okay, call me in 5 years, but it's worthwhile. Yeah. Now, here's why this is... this looks mundane. This looks banal. But this statement is not at all. John, you're going to want to know this one because think about this. You'll already have keyed in on this. John is a genius when it comes to remembering and cross-referencing these things. Everybody, hang with Pro for just a moment. I'm going to explain something here. Remember way back when we were told that Daisy Ridley went for lunch at Lucasfilm? And remember when they said that she went and met with Kathleen Kennedy, and out of the blue, Kathleen Kennedy surprised her with a pitch, and she accepted based on the pitch. Remember that? Remember we were told that? Now, it's been switched. The pitch is switched, and now it was Charmine Obaid-Chinoy. Now, there's two ways to look at this. Either way number one is that Daisy Ridley's lying, but I don't know why she would lie. Number two is that Charmine Obaid-Chinoy was there. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I can't see any way that Kathleen Kennedy pitched this with the story to Daisy Ridley, and Daisy Ridley, based on what she heard, decided to go with it. And then Daisy Ridley, remember in just recent articles, Daisy Ridley said, only Kathleen Kennedy and just a few others knew that I was going to be on stage at Star Wars Celebration. That's not possible if at the same time Obaid-Chinoy is the one who pitched her the story, unless they're all there. And continuing on this mental process, continuing on this logical path, if Charmine Obaid-Chinoy and Kathleen Kennedy are there to pitch this to Daisy Ridley 2 weeks after Bob Iger returns as CEO, you're telling me that Kathleen Kennedy pitches a Rey movie to Daisy Ridley with a director in hand and a story already determined and offers to have her on the Star Wars Celebration stage with her, which would indicate that a contract had to have already been prepared without Bob Iger knowing about it? Here's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that if what Daisy Ridley is saying is true, if Charmine Obaid-Chinoy was there and pitched the story, and Daisy Ridley only accepted because this was a fascinating feminist story, then there was a much more concerted effort at Disney to do this, going all the way up to Bob. And here's the key thing. If you're Kathleen Kennedy, if you're Bob Iger, what this would indicate is that at the highest levels of Disney, they had the story already picked out, the feminist story already picked out to pitch to Daisy Ridley, and it takes away their ability to absolve themselves of this chaos by claiming that it's two writers who couldn't get their act together and put forth a script. Instead, we're in chaos right now because they pitched forth a Star Wars feminist film that apparently the market doesn't want, and it came from the misjudgment of the two folks at the very tippy top of Disney. John, Lou, where am I wrong in reading that? Granted, if she's lying, of course we throw all of it off board. But where am I wrong if she's telling the truth?
You're not wrong, and she's lying. Let me explain. Let me explain. What she's lying about is, well, if you don't give me a good story, call me in 5 years.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah.
I mean, look at her career. She's a nice lady. She's a good actress as far as I can tell. But I just pulled up IMDb, and I see lots of things. Voice, second string character, voice, narrator, voice. Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. All she's ever done that's been a serious career thing has been Star Wars. And you think if they said to her, hey, you know that thing that everybody identifies with you and you make a lot of money and you get a lot of fame and we'd like you to do it again. Does she say, well, let me tell me the story first, or does she say, yes, and what's the story?
So let Luna walk through where Daisy Ridley's been since Star Wars. You're exactly right. And this is also why Mr. Boyega has changed his tune probably.
Yeah.
Here's what Daisy Ridley's been doing since Star Wars. In 2023, The Martian, King's Daughter, 5.8. The Inventor, 6.1, only as a voice. Sometimes I think about dying, 6.8. The Bubble, 4.7. Zoetrope, which I have, that's a podcast, for 9. 12 Minutes, a video game as a voice. These are not major roles, and you're exactly right. She's playing voices of asteroid hunters.
And being hired
Baba
to do those
Yaga.
voices so they can put her name on the box.
Right, and so this is what I would say, Lou. She can't continue with those kinds of roles at the quality of life that she can if she goes back to Star Wars and is offered $12 million. No one else is going to offer her $12 million. Fair?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the potential of doing more afterwards.
So she wasn't going to say, "Oh, well, this script isn't feminist enough. I'll pass. Talk to me later. I've got too many big things going on. I'm playing in Baba Yaga. Thank you very much." Whatever the heck Baba Yaga is.
So I want to bring up two things here. First, if you go back to when they first did their sequel trilogy, George Lucas pitched them treatments. What did Bob Iger say that he did? He said he had to go get them. He bought them up and then stuck them in a vault because they already had a plan of what they were going to do. It was him and Abrams, and they already knew what they were going to do. It didn't matter what George Lucas even came up with. So the fact that they would already have a story, I think we have evidence to the fact that they've done this in the past, right? Just look at how many times that Kathleen Kennedy's also brought in new people to change films that they already have in production or going on in the middle of production. Solo, the perfect example. They had to bring in Ron Howard. And then the second point here is that what did Daisy Ridley say? She said it's Charmaine's story now. Charmaine is pitching her. Well, that had never been the case. It had been Damon Lindelof at first, and then it was Stephen Knight. Now it's a Charmaine O'Page-Chinoy story. So I find that really interesting there as well. So,
and by the way, saying it's the story and you're going to be amazed, and it's a secret. I can't tell you what happens. It's promotion for the movie. That's all. She was handed that the same way that Rachel was handed we're updating it, and then, of course, went too far. Daisy's not that stupid. So she follows the script because she knows where her bread is buttered.
Well,
again,
do you
I'm not
think,
taking
though,
anything away from her for doing it, but that's how the business works.
Well, though, let me ask you this, Lou. So do you think this puts them in a pickle, though? Because now the entire story, according to Daisy Ridley, has been tied to Charmaine O'Baye-Chinoy as opposed to wayward scriptwriters who couldn't get their act together.
Well, if they go on, they can say we like the story, but Charmaine was doing other things, or what. They can always come up with an excuse. They can always come up with a reason. And is anybody going to say, "But you said it was going to be her story"? No, they're not going to, because hey, it's showbiz, you know. that's it. This is all so predictable because this is a company that changes stories and writers and directors, based on the phases of the moon, for all I know.
And
so I would say, go ahead, John.
Just another point too is I don't know. Last week, Daisy Ridley is talking about how it all came together last minute, and it was pitched to her just by Kathleen Kennedy over coffee or breakfast. She said that I don't remember which outlet she said it to. We have it up on that Park Place. So that's all there too. So the idea that they have the story idea, I think is clear, right? Kathleen Kennedy's the one pitching it to her. Clearly, maybe Lindelof was working on that story idea. They didn't like what he had come to. He said he was canned, and now we know that they brought in Stephen Knight, and now the reports are on Stephen Knight. It's like he's having issues with the script too. Some people are saying he's never turned in a script. Obviously, there's other reports where he's turned in a script and then he got like a ton of notes from Disney,
Right.
where he's basically having to start from scratch. And we know Disney does indeed give notes to people, because we're seeing that with Doctor Who as well. Russell T Davies has admitted that Disney has sent him a bunch of notes for the Doctor Who episodes that he's working on. So I think there's a lot of evidence that this is a story coming from the very top at Lucasfilm, something that you've been reporting from the very beginning, where this was something that came from Bob Iger, and he really wanted to get back to Rey.
Right, restore the legacy, not the magic. Restore Bob Iger's legacy. So what I would say too here is that we've got this is just an amazing super chat that's been sent in. We got a Darth Racer. It's so good that it's a conversation point in the middle of a conversation. For $5, they'll pay Daisy almost as much money as it took to make Godzilla -1. I think they're going to pay Daisy more.
Yeah.
And Daisy doesn't have a career outside of Star Wars. She's doing voice acting for someone who came off of what she was doing with Star Wars. It's a massive downgrade. No offense intended for her. But that said, she's not going to turn down Star Wars. But this is exactly right. This is the kind of waste that Disney's involved in. You don't have to make a Rey movie. You don't have to. You're choosing to make a Rey movie, and you're choosing to pay an actress far more than she would make anywhere else. Fine. And when we love Daisy, we're glad she's making money. We don't begrudge that whatsoever. But you're going to pay her more than Godzilla -1 cost totally, full on, for its entire production.
And when she says, nobody knew I was going to be here at this event. Yeah, well, the security knew, the hotel knew, the people who got you there knew, the people who told you what dress to wear knew.
Everybody who watches this channel knew.
These things don't happen by accident. Disney is a wonderful case of spontaneous accidental combustion and spending and careful pre-planning that's lousy all at the same time. As you look at these budgets and these reshoots and these, we've got a script. Well, yeah, but let's fix it. But we're already shooting it. Well, so we'll reshoot it. Well, what about, well, no, let's shoot it again. No, wait, let's bring in the CGI dirty hippies. And this is a business. Businesses
let's craft our story in post editing while we've already aired the first episode, like Secret Invasion.
There you go. This spontaneous, creativity. Oh, we're all about creativity, and but we didn't have enough supervision, according to Bob, right?
I'm sure when they slid that check across the and I'm betting it's like a Price is Right giant check. When they slid that sucker across the desk and it covered the entire desk and it said $12 million on it, I bet she said, "Show me the script first."
Yeah, exactly. and by the way, when she did the first one, when she'd come from, guest shots on British TV shows, basically was her past. They didn't hire her because she was a star. They hired her because she was inexpensive then and could get a commitment out of her that if this thing goes the way we hope it will, boy, the next one you'll make more, and the next one you'll make more.
Lou, do you know what Daisy Ridley was most well known for prior to Star Wars?
No, I don't.
She played the role of a topless cadaver. That was her best claim to fame before Star Wars. And again, no offense meant at all. It's just to say that she went from a position of not being a tremendously well-known actress to being thrust into this huge role, and Star Wars and Lucasfilm did not treat her very well because they gave her a character that's almost impossible to work with. And then, following that lackluster character and the lackluster development arc that they provided to her, then she went back into relative obscurity until now. There's no way that she was going to turn down the opportunity to come back. There's just no way.
What I do find really interesting about what Daisy Ridley has said, and there's kind of some new news that Tom actually keyed me in on Twitter, is she actually did an interview with the Today Show this morning where she was asked about sexism in Star Wars, and she said it's overblown. So she's actually distancing herself from a lot of the Lucasfilm talking points. I mean, even in the article that you had up earlier, she's distancing herself from, like, Charmine. It's not just because I wanted to join a movie that Charmine was a woman, which is basically all they've kind of told us, right? That's how Charmine's been marketing it. It's like, I'm a woman, hear me roar. Like, it's about time a woman finally is leading Star Wars. It's a critical mass of women that are finally breaking down barriers at Star Wars for a company that's literally been run by a woman for over a decade. Like,
and I have bad news for Charmaine. She may be a woman and she may be doing Star Wars, but alas, she's not the first annoying woman to do Star Wars. KK took that job.
But perhaps, if John is right, and this is a story to watch now, if Daisy Ridley has adjusted the talking points, I'm going to have to conclude that's not just Daisy Ridley. I'm going to have to conclude that's probably something that they've suggested to do at Disney proper. And I don't see any way that they could not. You know, my gosh, are you really going to anger every male possible as you make this Rey movie that would be destined to fail? I mean, come on. But, all right, gentlemen.
At this point, if they brought in Sean Connery and Tom Cruise to co-star with her, they'd still be pissing men off after all that's come before.
All right, folks, that's a wrap for today. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you understand what's going on behind the scenes at Disney and Star Wars a little bit better. It seems like they're all the way up against the corner, and they're going to have to pivot and begin telling the truth and being kind to their customers. I know, shocking, right? Every other industry on the planet does that, but now Star Wars will too, and maybe Disney even. We shall see. It doesn't go unnoticed to me that even Rachel Zegler has been kinder and nicer, and we'll see how all of that plays out. We here, of course, offer grace, but we do think that Disney needs to have a few mea culpas to get to that point. All right, folks, it's time, your time. Like, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And do you agree with John? Do you agree with Mr. Ghost? Do you agree with me? Or are we completely off base? Is Star Wars completely doomed? I don't know. Let us know. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Listen up, my brothers and sisters. You've been listening to Phils and Zoes with an agenda to destroy your brain cells for far too long. It's time to change your way of doing things. Hold up. TPP is the place to be. Covering the news so honestly. It's a team that's cool and tried and true. Ahead of the culture curve, they're trying to keep you. Jonas and Pro, they run the show, and they dragged in the bearded culture casino. You got Valiant and Lord and Fourth of Light. Wonderful people, yeah, they're alright. They got weird bringing in people like Floral, but made no mistake with Lorena Creole. Amelia and John, stuttering guitarist. Martin and Tawny and someone called CMS. Fats even makes a bunch of other graphics. Did I mention a partnership with Bending in the comics? Fat Guy is a guy and Doc Matt does the web stuff. There's probably some people I missed. I hope they're not telling you the news that should be fun. With accurate info that's not been spun. You can figure it out as you will see. The TPP is the place to be.
Yeah, Wilton. That was actually pretty good, or white. But I think you might have forgotten Vash.
Well, he lost all his friends. But it was implied.